Hey, you clicked on my video. Appreciate it. Now be sure to like the video and subscribe to the page. Long enough to cover the subject and short enough to keep it interesting. Welcome to Outta My League. I'm Nick Diaz. Texas A&M is in shambles. I'm not talking about the offense. See, what people always seem to do with Jimbo Fisher every time he loses is that they say, well, he's having a Les Miles game or a Les Miles season. Nah, I say no. I push back. This is much, 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 much worse. Because here's the thing, Les Miles never really lost the locker room. Les Miles never had bad defenses. Les Miles never really had bad special teams. And sure as hell, Les Miles never lacked physicality with his football teams. The LSU offense under Les Miles just sucked. And players got frustrated with it from time to time. And after a while, they got really frustrated with it. Jimbo has bigger problems than just the offense. There is a cultural rot in the Texas A&M football team because as of right now, they can't do anything well. They are horrible at just about every aspect of the game. And now players are getting in trouble over and over and over and over again. And now players can't stay healthy. And this isn't Les Miles LSU towards the end. This is Ed Ogeron at LSU the last 2 years. Everyone, not buying in, everyone quitting, everyone getting in trouble, not staying healthy. They're not good at anything on the team whatsoever. I mean, Les Miles, say what you want about him, but he never really had a rotten culture like Ed Ogeron did at the very end. This is what's going on at A&M. And this is on the heels of the Aggies paying the greatest recruiting class in college football history, and now they can't fire Jimbo. Because Scott Woodward baited A&M into giving Jimbo an extension with a $90 million buyout. As the great philosopher David Carey Weber Chappelle once said, you hate to see it, but more than that, you love to see it. Now, as much as I love to bask into the pettiness of someone else's misery, this only means one thing to me. How does this benefit LSU? Well, more than just not having to worry about A&M on the football field anytime soon, in the age of the transfer portal, all is fair game when it comes to poaching players. All. I don't necessarily love that about college football because, well, it's tampering. I mean, make no bones about it. I don't like tampering, even though my team has benefited from it from coaching hires and players and all that stuff. It's tampering. But at the same time, if everyone else is doing it, you got to get your hands dirty if you want to win, especially since everyone in the SEC tried to do it to LSU last season. How the turntables. Now, usually what helps with getting transfers from other schools are firings. That helps. Will Jimbo be fired at A&M after this season? No. It's a $90 million buyout. They're not firing him. Now, does A&M have the money to fire him? Yeah, but they just can't do that. I mean, okay, they can, but I just can't get my head around a university paying that much money to a coach just to go away and then pay another coach $100 million to replace him. I cannot wrap my mind around that. I just can't. I don't think they're going to do that. I'm sure they want to, but they're just not going to. At least I don't think. But also, there's precedent to this situation. Everyone thinks Jimbo's dead in the water and A&M's stuck and they'll never recover. Well, I think there's another situation that can compare to some extent. Jim Harbaugh at Michigan and Brian Kelly at Notre Dame. See, Jim Harbaugh had one really bad season. I think one of those seasons was the COVID year. And after that, he completely redid his staff, changed his offense, hired new people, and now look at Michigan. They just needed some new guys in there, and Jim Harbaugh just needed a kick in the ass to make those changes. Brian Kelly at Notre Dame, he had one bad season. And Brian Kelly fired a bunch of staffers. He redid his coordinators. Hell, Brian Kelly gave up offensive play calling duties on game day, even though Notre Dame was scoring a bunch of points that season. He still gave it up because he thought it needed a change. That's probably what's going to happen with Jimbo. Because they've just got no other choice. They don't have another choice, man. However, he doesn't really seem to be too keen on giving up play calling duties and all that stuff, but whatever. Either way, A&M is stuck with him. However, I don't think any of that necessarily matters. I'll tell you why. Because the only reason why the majority, and I mean the majority, of that all-time freshman recruiting class is at A&M is because they're getting paid to be there, okay? A&M fans can bullshit us all they want. They are there because they got paid, okay? I cannot tell you how many LSU media members I've talked to that cover recruiting and heard about stories from players who wanted to go to this school or that school, but they ended up signing with A&M. A couple of them were crying on signing day. I want to stay. I want to go to LSU. I want to stay home. I like the Brian Kelly hire, but I got to get the money. I got to go and get the money. Look, it's a tale as old as time. I'm not blaming them because players have been doing that forever. They've been going to places only because they got paid. However, this situation with A&M is a little different because the thing is that A&M, they got what they wished for, okay? They were more prepared and they have more money with NIL than any other team. Everyone else was lacking behind and falling behind. But the problem is that they are not on an equal playing ground. And that's coming back to bite them in the ass. See, when LSU and Alabama were both paying recruits under the table, just like everybody else, they were both on a equal playing field for the most part, okay? Players, they may have gone to LSU and Alabama because, they were getting paid, but also they were choosing between LSU and Alabama based on, okay, well, both of them are going to pay me, but I kind of like this school versus that school. A&M did not do that this past cycle because they were head and shoulders above paying everyone for that recruiting class. And as a result, you don't have a bunch of kids who went there because, I liked A&M, but I really like this place more, but they paid me more, so I went to A&M. You have a bunch of kids who don't care about A&M, who don't want to live in College Station, who probably don't even like the coaches that much, don't like the campus that looks like a fucking prison in the middle of the desert. All of these freshman players, majority of them I should say, keep getting in trouble and aren't playing very hard because they don't actually want to be in College Station at A&M with all those yell leaders. And as a result, you have a bunch of players being suspended over and over and over again for violating team rules. That's the problem. Will any of them leave that money behind? Nah, they might because the team is so bad and you can get money elsewhere now that everyone else is sort of caught up with NIL. Now the question becomes with LSU. Do any of them leave to come to LSU? Maybe. Specifically, Denver Harris, the 5-star defensive back who grew up an LSU fan, wanted to go to LSU, told the A&M coaches he was going to LSU, and his dad played basketball at LSU. I know the Ponchatoula 5-star safety Jacoby Matthews wanted to go to LSU so bad he was crying when he told the LSU staff members he was going to A&M. Le'Veon Moss is from Baton Rouge. He's a running back. He played at Estruma. Well, LSU needs another running back for next year. Maybe he's homesick. I don't know. But I have a hard time believing that hasn't at least crossed their minds. Or they haven't at least been told to come back home to Louisiana through other family members and friends. Look, I've changed jobs only a handful of times in my life, and I always spent months talking it over with family and friends, months before I actually did it. It didn't just happen overnight or for a few weeks. It happened months in advance with those conversations. They see what, their home state school is doing with Brian Kelly. Looking a little enticing. And there's playing time to be had. Another question is, would Brian Kelly now take one of those guys? Because a lot of those guys are getting in trouble. They're getting a lot of money. They're not being disciplined. The culture's bad. Would he bring that into his locker room? Well, so far, Brian Kelly, I haven't seen him put up with any of that, but maybe these are extenuating circumstances because of what's going on at A&M. But that's not even the most interesting part of this conversation. The most interesting part of this conversation is the biggest hurdle, and that's NIL contracts. The NIL contracts that these players signed with Texas A&M boosters and alumni. See, the NIL contracts, they can't have enrollment clauses in them. They can't say, as long as you are at the University of Memphis, you will be a partner with us. No. It can't say that. Violates NCAA rules. Cannot say that specifically. So what most schools have given these recruits and players are 3-year deals. 3-year deals. So what is the creative language in those contracts to make them stay at A&M to sort of cover their ass? Not exactly sure. I don't know the contracts. I don't know people who've written those kind of contracts. But we're going to find out soon enough. just how much everyone in the world wants to be a Texas A&M Aggie and always grew up an Aggie fan, and now College Station is just the best city to live in the world. Thanks for listening to Out of My League. If you like what you heard, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Or follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok in the description link below.